The students are going to do some kind of short sharing, and then we're going to do some work together. So that I'm going to present a curriculum unit to you guys, and hopefully you can understand it a little bit better, kind of from the inside, by doing some of the activities that students would have done within this unit. But before that, I just had a few thoughts while I was kind of standing around and watching your professor. And the first is that you guys are the future of Hong Kong. Okay? In a very, very short time, the future of Hong Kong really is up to you guys. And what's going to happen in a few months is that you're going to make probably the most important difference between a student finding the potential that they have in their lives, having the freedom to find what their talent is and express that and develop that. Okay? You're either going to give that to them or you're going to put them to sleep. And there's not a lot of room in the middle. And I've worked in Band 3 schools in Hong Kong for several years. There's not a lot of room. Okay? Either a handful of students, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe can find some talent or potential in the school, and for the most part, the rest of them are asleep. Okay? So I'm hoping that you guys have taken this class seriously, because the school-based curriculum is probably going to be one of the most important pieces in determining what happens in your classroom. Either you're going to bore the students to death, they won't find their talents, they won't find their potentials, they'll continue whatever cycles of poverty or alienation or feeling left out of the society they're already feeling, or you're going to step in and just give them a little space, okay, where they can hopefully start to change that. Very important. Whatever I'm going to show you today, I've done within an EMI environment. Okay? And I recognize that it's easier for me because I can kind of depend on the rest of the world to give me resources. Literally, the rest of the world. And people are creating all kinds of great resources, and they're sharing them online. So for a lot of you guys, especially if you're teaching in a CMI environment, you're teaching with traditional characters especially, you kind of have to be the generation that creates these resources for other teachers in Hong Kong. And you have to be the generation that's going to create a culture of sharing these resources in Hong Kong. You're going to create something for your students in your classroom that hopefully will be of use to somebody else, not just in Hong Kong, but somewhere else in the world. So you guys really are the future in this way. You guys also need to learn to be scholars. I think you guys probably talked at some point about the technician idea of a teacher. Okay, so if you're just kind of following the steps of doing something, you won't be very good at developing your own curriculum. And you won't be very good at finding those talents and hidden potentials of students if you're just practicing a recipe. It's very, very difficult. And today I brought several students because I really believe that students are a very, 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 very important part to the process of developing a curriculum in a school. Okay? Ultimately, the curriculum is for them. It should be in some ways about them. And we are accountable not just to the school, not just to the sponsoring body, but to the students and their parents. Okay? I truly, truly believe this. And so hearing from students and what they have to say is a part of that, creating a curriculum. Let me go back.
Are you going to skip that?
Yeah, I'm not going to skip that. Okay. This is my little baby here. He's sick today. And this is me. I used to be really cute, and I don't know what happened. So I was born in Honduras. I think I'm about 4 or 5 years old here. And I was born into a professional family. My father was the first generation to go to university. He became a lawyer. He became a university lecturer. He bought a house. He bought a car. And then here I am. You know, I'm about to finish my my PhD. My wife has an MBA. She studied in Australia. And my baby's going to have such a different future and reality, I think, than what I had. What's missing from this picture is kind of my whole life. Okay, so moving around from country to country, but you know, having an alcoholic father, having mental disease in my family, using drugs, me going to jail, all of these things that are part of my life story, I bring into the classroom every single day. And it shapes the way that I think about what I'm teaching the students, because I try to think what's been important in my life. And when the students are sitting in the classroom, what are they thinking about? What are they worrying about? What are they hoping? And so I try to use just the experiences in my life as a way to understand whatever experiences they're having. They might be the same as mine, they might be very, very different. So the stuff that I'm going to show you today, I basically developed at a Band 3 school in Tunmun, where I was for a little over 3 years. And so in that time, working with some other teachers, I was able to develop a plan for a junior secondary integrated English and humanities curriculum. And we'll focus on one unit today. This school is an EMI school, even though it's Band 3, because about 5 years ago, the school started recruiting what are called ethnic minority or non-Chinese speaking students, just so the school could stay open. Okay, just for that very reason. And so at that time, the school said that it would develop a school-based curriculum specifically for these students, because in most schools, students are just failing in very large numbers. Okay, so the school at that time said, we'll have a school-based curriculum for these students. So very big opportunity at the time when I started to do that. And I had a very supportive panel head, okay? Actually, not at first. At first, we had screaming matches. But then, you know, she's a very, very good teacher. So after about the first year, we really started to work together very well. And a lot of this stuff, whatever I'll show you, was developed with the support of a panel head, okay, who said, yes, we need to do something very different. Okay, so in general, some of the things that I'll show you, this is what I'm relying on, that the curriculum should be challenging, okay? And regardless of what the skills of the students are when they start, the students might be high-skilled, medium-skilled, low-skilled. It needs to be challenging to all the students. It needs to be rigorous. They need to think. They need to create. But at the same time, I was working in English and kind of liberal studies. It should address whatever conflicts they have in their lives. And we don't have examples of it today, but I worked with really good math and science teachers who took a very similar approach to whatever I'll show you today. Okay, whatever like the framework or the theory that I'm using today, I've met math and science teachers who also work in the same way and have very similar results. And it's going to be multicultural. It's going to use perspectives from different cultures, including the cultures of the students. It's going to be multimodal in that we're learning from many different kinds of resources, things that we can read, things we can hear, things we can touch, things we can do. And I still believe in the theory of multiple intelligences. Do you guys study that in your program? Kind of. Raise your hand if you can define Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. Okay. What is it? Can somebody? I just want to take a poll. A couple of people. What does it mean to be smart? Define being smart, or define intelligence. Yes, you in the red sweatshirt. What does it mean to be smart? What is smart? Being clever. Yeah. Okay. Raise your hand if you agree with that. Being smart is being clever. They all disagree with you. Any other definitions? That's a definition I hear kind of the most in Hong Kong. And usually what clever means is that you can think in a logical way very quickly. That there's a logic that you can apply very quickly. Okay, so you guys should, before you leave in a couple months, read Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. Look at people that have planned curriculum based on this theory. It's really important. So typically, when I was thinking of how I planned curriculum, and even now when I plan curriculum, I kind of think about these things, that inside of a unit, we'll ask some questions. Okay, I'll usually have some main important questions I want the students to think about, but they should be asking their own questions along the way. We'll have different texts that we'll look at. And a text is just anything you can read, hear, see, or think about. Okay, a text could be a story, a text could be a documentary, a text could be a nonfiction book, a text could be a poem, a text could be a photograph, a text could be an advertisement in the MTR. Okay, anything we can see, read, hear, think about, song lyrics. We'll always have some kind of experience and some kind of interaction within a unit. We'll always produce something. We'll produce essays, we'll produce videos, we'll produce poems, we'll produce images. And then within all of these, there should be certain things that we're learning. And the EDB guides always focus on learning certain skills, certain ideas. You think about how you value things in your life, and hopefully you should have a comma after values. You should generate some kind of attitude, right? Feeling curious, wanting to learn for the sake of learning, these kinds of things. Of course, we think about how to assess the students, which is the hardest thing to change about a school-based curriculum, I think. Okay? Very, very, very difficult, because administrators have a lot of control over how we do assessments. And then finally, within a unit, there should be some reflection of ourselves as teachers and some reflection with the students. Okay, what did they like? What did they not like? What was boring? What was difficult?
Carlos, can I?
Yeah.
I just want to point out, can you go back to the other slide? As we're thinking about our assignments for the class, and we're going to be talking about SBC plan for assignment 1, we're going to be looking at, you're just going to be looking at the school SBC plan. So what I'm noticing here is that Carlos is presenting to you a certain way to look at those and how to read them. So that's why he's putting that up there. So you want to be aware of these types of things and going in that order as you're analyzing SBC plans.
Okay. And by the way, I mean I've developed a lot of units. It doesn't always start in the same place. Sometimes in my interactions with students, I'll start thinking about a question. Okay? Oh, I see the students are thinking about love. What is love? I wonder how the students think about love. Let me go be a scholar and do research before I plan this unit about what have other people said about love. Okay. So let me do that research. Let me do that reading first. Sometimes it starts with a text, like, ooh, I just saw this movie. Okay, and the movie is called Tare Zamin Par. It's a movie about a little boy who's about 7 years old and he has dyslexia. And so he's doing very poorly in school. So his family's going to send him to a boarding school. Wow, I think this movie is a great way for the students to think about education. I think this movie is a great way for students to think about the relationship with their family. Wow, I think this movie is a great way for students to think about transformative education because there's a transformative teacher inside of this movie. So I'll start with this text, okay? Or sometimes it'll be, you know, I really want students to learn how to write a story. So let me think, how am I going to structure a unit around just doing a story? Okay, so the starting point is always different. Now here is the result of 3 years of planning, okay? 3 years of developing curriculum, and this ends in a plan, a 3-year plan for a junior secondary English and humanities curriculum. Okay, it took 3 years to get to the point where we had a plan. When you first start school, you might just be thinking about a lesson. I just need to know how to plan a lesson where my students don't kill me, okay? And then maybe you can start thinking, wait, let me plan a unit now. Let me plan 5 or 6 weeks of working with the students. Okay, once you've done a few units, like, oh, okay, I can see how a whole year can look. Oh, now I think I know how all of junior secondary can look. And then eventually you get to the point where you say, I think I know what 6 years, okay, 6 years, Form 1 to Form 6 can look like for a science class. So it really takes a lot of time. I'll focus in on one unit. We're going to focus in, this is Form 1, and the first couple weeks of Form 1 at least always begin with some kind of routine building, getting to know the classroom, learning how to work. And then I used to do a unit about education around the movie 3 Idiots. It's a very famous Indian movie. And then we would move on to a unit about common teen problems like crushes and conflicts with parents. And then we would dive into a very long unit on elections. Okay, so this is the unit that you'll get to learn a little bit about today. And then on the right, you can see the different kinds of assessments that I thought were good for a class. For whatever skills we were learning, my first assessment would be making an iPad puppet show. If you have time, I'll show you what these look like. my second unit, my assessment would be, well, I'm going to assess them with an advice letter. Okay, once they've studied conflicts that we have with parents and with crushes, we can write an advice letter. And then we would have the school-based exam. And then again, next unit, we have a project. This slide just has kind of bits of one unit. And this unit really started with the idea that I wanted students to really study a novel together. We've been studying short stories, we've been studying movies and documentaries, and I thought it was time for them in junior secondary to really study a novel. And so I thought, okay, what can I find that has a lot of rich ideas in it? But also, I wanted to have the story at different levels, because some of the students that I had could read very, very strongly, and then some of the students that I had were still pretty weak, maybe a few years behind in their reading. So if they're in Form 2, maybe they're still reading at about maybe like a P4, P3 level. Okay? So luckily, this story is pretty hard to read in 1984, but I found a lower version of it that a lot of my students can understand. It had the same ideas, just not the same language. So it's a story about this man in a society ruled by this thing called the party, and they have a leader called Big Brother, but the leader doesn't even really exist. And in everybody's home, there's a large screen that's always playing kind of fake news, but the party can watch everyone from the screen and listen in to everyone. Okay? But it's really a story about humans' needs and how those needs can be taken away from us so that we don't get basic safety, so that we don't get the food that we need, so that we don't get the friendship and the love that we need. And then eventually, because we don't have any of our needs fulfilled, we can't really be the best human that we can be. We're too worried about trying to fulfill basic needs. And so along with that, imagery is a very important part of understanding stories. We studied skills like that. We studied essay writing. We watched also the documentary Schindler's List and learned about the Holocaust. Raise your hand if you know what the Holocaust is. Who knows here what the Holocaust is? So the Holocaust was when Hitler killed about 7 million people, most of them Jews, during World War II. A very important part of history to know. And so we had somebody who survived that, her name is Sarah Atzmon, come to visit our school and show her artwork and talk about her life when we were studying this. Okay? So we practiced a lot of skill. We asked questions about what human needs are there. We had the experience of meeting somebody who had kind of lived in this kind of environment and survived the Holocaust. Okay, so that's kind of that. Before I get into actually, you guys are going to do some work. So before we get into the actual unit, I'm going to have 3 students talk to you. Okay, so one student will talk to you about kind of a very common problem that a lot of school-based curriculum doesn't think about. Okay, and it's the problem of academic language. And this problem exists whether you're studying in English or whether you're studying in Cantonese or any language. How do you not learn just the language to talk to somebody, but to really think and write academically in that language? Then another student will talk to you about, because somebody asked this question, like what was the best lesson or something. She'll talk to you shortly about a topic that was important to her. And then the last student will talk to you. I asked her, I said, Paru, what's one subject where you really wish you had a strong school-based curriculum? Okay, and so she'll tell you what that subject is. What subject do you guys think? She said, Paru, what subject would you really want a very good school-based curriculum in? What do you guys think? What do you think? Yes, pink sweater. What did she say? I asked her, Paru, if you could choose one subject in your school that the school could change it to a really good school-based curriculum, what subject would you want to be changed? What do you think? General studies. She's secondary. Secondary. Liberal studies? Okay. Anybody else? You guys over there. Blue sweater. What do you think? In what subject would they want a very good school-based curriculum? Yeah. Visual arts. That's a good guess. Okay. I guessed liberal studies. I thought, oh, liberal studies, very important. So we'll see what she says. Okay, so.
Hi. So my name is Sumi Rai. Rai is my surname, and then Sumi is my middle name. So today I'm going to talk about learning academic English and content knowledge in other subjects like liberal studies, math, English. So, introduction about myself. I'm currently studying in Form 4, and I was born here, but later on, I went back to Nepal to study 5 years, for 5 years, and after that I came back and then continued my education here, and then I live with my family, and then usually at home I use English, more English, and then a little bit Chinese to communicate with my family members, and then with peers we usually use English and Nepalese and a little bit of Cantonese because we don't really know how to speak Cantonese much. So do any one of you know what does tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 words means? Anyone? Okay, I'm going to explain it to you.
Can you guys see her in the back? Should she use the microphone or is she fine?
So tier 1 are the words that is usually in the brain, you use them every day. Like happy, sad, those are the words that you can understand and also can use on daily communication. Tier 2 are the words that you have heard of them, but you're not really sure what it means, or you know them, but you don't really have a clear conception of. And tier 3 are the words, they're words that you really don't know, and they're usually at specific fields, just like math words, science words, weather words, like that. Can you see it? Yeah? Okay, so now I have a challenge for you guys. These are the tier 2 and tier 3 words. I want you guys to word tier 1 word to explain this to me in a sentence. And actually I also don't know what this means. I was flipping through my liberal study book, and then I was like, oh, these are the words I didn't know. So I want you guys to explain it to me. First, tell me the definition, and secondly, use easy English word to explain it to me in a sentence.
Use tier 1 words.
Tier 1 word.
Okay. Let them know again. So, explain these words to me only using tier 1 words.
Only tier 1 word.
This reminds me of 3 Idiots.
Byron?
खाली क्या त word दिन्छ नि अनि खोज भन्छ नि You see, everyone is racing
Can you take some pictures?
Yeah, I did.
Anyone know how to explain it to me? Anyone ready? Anyone wants to? Maybe? Just give me the definition using tier 1 words, that is easy words for people to understand. Anyone?
For the first one, transnational is cross countries, cross nation.
What?
Cross countries.
Cross countries? Oh, so it means that to cross country. Is it cross country?
I think it's across countries.
Across
countries spreading through 2 countries. Like we say transnational firms, transnational companies. Yeah, that would be one example of the word, of how the word transnational is used.
Can you use it in a sentence?
we'll often say globalization, in globalization.
Well, now you're using a tier 3 word. So, tier 1.
McDonald's is a transnational company.
Because
it operates in
using a tier 2 word.
You can find it in different countries.
Oh, okay, now I understand.
Give this guy extract.
What about extract? Anyone knows extract? Okay, I'll just pick some.
係炸出物，撈係炸出物 ，verb 係吸收喎，
Who's like
點炸
the
咯
lashes?
咁樣 taking something
The girl with lashes.
或者抽取節錄
Do you know the meaning of extract? Extract.
Throw something.
Something. Is it draw something?
Like draw?
No.
Pick on something.
Okay,
What about 3?
so I'm going to tell you a typical pedagogical sequence that are used in our schools, like various subjects. And today I'm mainly going to talk about the liberal studies. So at the beginning on the uni, the teacher we have a book, right? So the teacher tells us the name of the chapter of the book, and then after that, he just tells us the name, and then we just have to he goes to a certain page, and after that we have to read it along with him, and then he starts to read the book, and then we have to follow him, and after that when we have some questions, and then he asks us to raise up our hand so that if we have any questions we should ask him, for definitions or some questions we have in our mind. So this is the typical worksheet that we have in school. It's filling the box. There are also tick marks and those kind of things. And we are given fill in the blanks worksheet or exercises in the workbook. And the thing I really hate is that we are given an essay to memorize for the exam. And also that, because we have a paper exam, and then we are usually given an essay to memorize. He doesn't really teach us, he just writes, and then we have to write it down, and then we have to memorize that for our exam. Okay, the difficulties that me and most of my friends, we face is that, because the thing is that our mother language is not English, okay? So it's really hard for us to, it's not really hard, but it's kind of difficult for us to understand most of the words in the textbook, because most of the words are usually in tier 2 or tier 3 words. So it's hard for us to understand. And then the thing is that if we cannot even understand the word, then how are we supposed to use it in our exam, right? Are we supposed to use that in our essay? And how are we supposed to understand it and then use it in a sentence, when the teacher asks us a question, we really don't know how to explain it to him. So we just find one sentence from the book, and then we just tell him. Because we really don't know what he's teaching us, and we really don't understand what the book is saying because the words are too hard for us. And the thing is that, except Chinese, all of the subjects we are studying is in English, and it's really hard for us. So how can you help as a teacher, like as a future teacher? I hope that you can really explain the tier 2 or tier 3 vocabs, like using tier 1 words. So you need to expand your vocabulary. So I hope that you also do often group discussions so that the students can like practice their talking also, and then they can open up to you also. And then if they get more like interactive, then they won't be like so shy like talking to me anymore and those kind of things. And then teach them how to listen and contribute also. You should also teach your students how to write their own essays so that not only in your subject, they can also use it in other subjects because it will help him or her a lot. Just like memorizing essay will not help them at all in the future. And also like teach students skills or knowledge in English class that could help them in other subjects. So I also think this is a very important part. I think it's to maintain continuity with their students. It's like if your student trusts you, then they are like very comfortable with you and they are willing to listen to you, you know. If like you're just new to the class and then like you're just speaking out from your book and then like they really don't understand you, so I think that they will just sleep at the class and then not listen to you and then they'll fail. So it's not the only like students failing, it's also the teachers who are also failing. So I really hope that you guys have listened to my advice, like because I'm a student and I've really faced this kind of problem. I hope you guys do something about it in the future. Thank you.
I'm Kumari Smith, and I arrived at Hong Kong in 2005 or 2006, I don't really remember. And then I've been studying here since K1. So yeah. Today I'm going to talk about my experience about an English school-based curriculum which my classmates and I learned in Form 2. In our 3 years of English class, we studied many topics like 3 idiots, immature love, Rahul clashing with my parents, Tari Zamin Par, and like it's really there are different topics, but then the most I enjoy is the topic about immature love. And then because this topic was grieving and it related to my life and my friend's life, and then though we were young, we were so much concerned about romantic love. That's just it happens in teenagers' life. So today I'm gonna mainly talk about how did I learn about immature love and what we did in our class. So we learned through reading quotes by also. I'm gonna show like his quotes about immature love, what he thinks what love is.
Swipe back the other ones.
So this is a quote from Osho. He's an Indian philosopher as guru. And then he thinks that immature people falling in love destroy each other's freedom, create a bondage, make a prison. Mature person in love help each other to be free. They help each other to destroy all the sources of bondage. And when love flows with freedom, there is beauty. When love flows with dependence, there is ugliness. A mature person doesn't fall in love, he or she rises in love. Only mature people fall, they stumble and fall down in love. Somehow they were managing and standing. Now they cannot manage and they cannot stand. They were always ready to fall on the ground and to quit. They don't have the backbone, the spin, they don't have the integrity to stand alone. A mature person has the integrity to stand alone. When a mature person gives love, he or she gives without any string attached to it. When two mature persons are in love, one of the greatest facts of life happens. One of the most beautiful phenomena. They are together and yet tremendous alone. They are together so much and that they are almost one. two mature person in love help each other to become more free. There's no politics involved, no diplomacy, no effort to dominate, or only freedom and love. So that's what also believes love is. And moreover, we learned about immature love through movies. This movie is a Nepalese movie, Puja called Puja. Okay. So as you can see, Puja is a movie like who lives in a rural village and have faced many difficulties. So here is Puja, and this is her mother. Okay. And then she is a girl that who don't get any support and love from her family or parents. So she's seeking love from her boyfriend called Rumi. And then as you guys can see over here, what do you guys see over here? I'm like, what's the picture is saying? Dying.
Kind of, yeah.
Like, and then what are they doing? The village women. So obviously you can see that Puja, she's the character, the main character. She's pregnant, and then these are the village women who is helping her to deliver her baby. But then the sad story is that at last she'll give birth to her baby, but then she ends up dying because of the facilitators and hospitals that are like in rural villages there are no good facilities and hospitals. Okay. So now I'm gonna talk about what we did about immature love during our class. So basically, Mr. C, he handed out a paper and then told us to write what do you think love is and what is love. So one of my friends, Sonja Guru, so he's not here, he said that my friends quote, this is what my friends say. Well, love is feeling that can make happy and sad. True love is love that you feel like long and lasting. You just keep on loving the same person. Every day your love increases more and more. You feel like your life is worthless without her. It's like a bright sun to you. When you feel like lonely and sad, you want them to appear in front of you because it makes your dark world bright. So what do you think? Agree with it?
Yeah. He said, look, he's like, yeah. Yeah.
So obviously you guys have already experienced like in a teenager's life. So, and then my quote, what I think about love is that loving the same person, caring and supporting them is like what makes it strong, like the love between two couples, two partners. And these are the work that we did in our class. So here are the essay written by my classmates. We write about like this. The essay is about love. We read different kinds of quotes, and then like according to bell hooks, according to also what do we think that love is, and then we even did some kind of brainstorming. Yeah. So what did I learn? So what did I learn? For my own experience, for my own view, I learned and improved my essay writing. And while studying this subject about immature love, I improved on my skills like essay writings, like vocabulary, speaking, and like how to discuss within my groups and my friends. And like as values, like we should like have values for our own mother and for like taking care of our own bodies. Yeah. So why do I enjoy this topic rather than others? Because it really relates to adolescence, and then like it's and then it's also important that our teacher made this curriculum based on students rather than textbook, because our teacher wants us to explore more and then go deeply to know more deeply about love. You know, like in textbook we do even have, but they're not that kind of deep understanding. And then. So lastly, what I think is very important is that because there are a lot of people who have been in love, and then I have been in love as well, like I have experienced love, and then some of them people fall in love without knowing any consequences, and like they don't know what they will be ending up like facing things. That's it. Thank you.
Read different philosophers about what they have to say about love, and they're coming from different cultures, these philosophers. And so she really liked this guru's idea that there's a mature and there's an immature love. And immature love is kind of like a academic thing.
Hello everyone, my name is Paru and I am from the same school as my mates, and I'm also currently studying in Form 4, taking elective as visual arts and HMSC. So I was born in Nepal and also raised till some 10 years old, and I came back Hong Kong in 2010, and I was his student and also his. So today I'm going to talk about visual arts school-based curriculum in our school as a student perspective, because I'm a student. So as you can see in the screen, that it is highlighted that the HKIEd visual arts curriculum guide say that students should adopt an open and flexible curriculum framework, replacing examination-oriented teaching syllabus with elements like key concepts, skills, values, and attitudes that are essential to learning of skills, learning of arts. And it is also